Everybody has an opinion about renting versus buying. Your parents tell you renting is throwing money away. Financial Twitter tells you homeownership is a scam. Your friends with mortgages insist you're missing out. Your friends who rent insist you be underwater within 5 years. And almost nobody in this conversation is doing the actual math, because the actual math is more complicated than either side admits, and it produces different answers for different people in different markets at different stages of their financial lives. This video is going to do that math completely with real numbers. And by the end, you will have a framework for making this decision for your specific situation rather than someone else's opinion. My name is John, and I spend way too much time thinking about how people make large financial decisions based on cultural assumptions rather than actual calculations. If you're trying to decide whether to rent or buy and you want the honest math, not the cheerleading from either side, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Let's do the math. Section 1. The true cost of buying. Most people calculate the cost of buying a home incorrectly. They compare their mortgage payment to their rent and conclude one is cheaper than the other. That comparison is missing roughly half the cost of homeownership. The true cost of buying includes mortgage principal and interest, property taxes, typically 1% to 1.5% of purchase price annually, homeowners insurance, typically $1,200 to $2,000 per year, private mortgage insurance if your down payment is below 20%, typically 0.5% to 1% of the loan amount annually. Maintenance and repairs. The widely cited estimate is 1% to 2% of home value per year, but realistically 1% to 3% depending on home age. HOA fees if applicable. And critically, the opportunity cost of your down payment. If you put $60,000 down on a home, that $60,000 is no longer available to invest. At 8% annual returns, that $60,000 would grow to approximately $129,000 in 10 years. That foregone growth is a real cost of homeownership that almost nobody includes in their calculation. Section 2. The true benefit of buying. The primary financial benefits of homeownership are equity accumulation, potential price appreciation, and inflation protection of housing costs. Equity accumulation. Each mortgage payment includes a principal component that builds your net worth. In the early years of a 30-year mortgage, this principal component is very small, perhaps $200 to $400 per month in the first several years on a $300,000 loan at 7% interest. Appreciation. Historically, U.S. home prices have appreciated at approximately 3% to 4% annually, roughly in line with inflation. This is much lower than most homeowners believe, and significantly lower than stock market historical returns of 10% annually. Inflation protection. Your fixed mortgage payment does not increase with inflation, while rents typically do. Over a 30-year mortgage, this inflation hedge becomes increasingly valuable. Section 3. The break-even calculation. Here's what most people don't realize. Buying almost always wins over long enough time horizons, but renting wins in the short to medium term in most markets. The break-even point, the holding period at which buying becomes financially superior to renting, is typically 5 to 7 years in normal markets and 8 to 12 years in high-cost markets with slow appreciation. Below that holding period, renting and investing the cost difference is almost always a superior financial strategy. Above that holding period, homeownership generally wins due to the combination of equity accumulation, appreciation, and inflation protection. The question is not should I rent or buy? The question is, how long do I plan to stay in this location? If your answer is under 5 years, rent. If your answer is over 10 years, buy when you can afford to do so responsibly. Between 5 and 10 years, run the specific math for your specific market. Renting is not throwing money away, but buying, done at the right time, in the right market, with the right financial preparation, is one of the most powerful wealth-building moves available to middle-class Americans. The key is calculating which situation you're actually in, not adopting someone else's conclusion about which is universally better. Run the math for your market, your income, your timeline, and your financial stage. Let the numbers guide the decision. If this breakdown gave you a clearer picture, hit the like button and subscribe. Every week we break down the real math behind the big financial decisions. I'll see you in the next one.